I have to say, I found this film to be very unrealistic because at no point did Florida man show up, take a bunch of bath salts, and try and eat the alligators. I had like 9 other Florida man jokes ready to go to start this review off with. Hey, so we're talking about Crawl today, everybody. And I didn't know anything about this movie.
I kept seeing advertisements for this movie on Twitter.
I haven't seen squat about this.
Really?
Like at all, aside from like the poster. Like I went on Rotten Tomatoes to see what was coming out. I saw Crawl and went, what the hell is Crawl? I clicked on, it's got like an alligator swimming through a flooded out town.
Yeah, that's pretty much the whole story.
What? This looks like a fun B-grade horror film. You know what? People enjoy when I talk about really bad horror films. I'm gonna come in here and I'm just gonna go nuts on this thing because there's nothing else coming out this weekend. Turns out, this is actually like a huge deal. Turns out a lot of people are talking about this. I mean, you mentioned that is being advertised on Twitter. I saw one on Hulu last night after I had already seen the film. But I just checked the Friday box office. This thing's beating out Stuber like the big double feature celebrity movie. This thing with nobody in it. And like no budget. And no one has seen like any trailers for this apparently, aside from like we said, online. Yeah, man, apparently this is like a big deal. And as I was sitting there watching this thing, I was thinking to myself, okay, well, maybe this is either going to be like Sharknado, like just a really stupid, cheesy B-C level horror film that people just kind of point and laugh at, or maybe it's going to be like some cult classic in the making. And early in this film, early in the movie, a title popped up that said, produced by Sam Raimi. I went, oh! Well, wow, if you want to get me invested in a horror film quick, you just did it. This movie's actually really damn good. I am actually stunned by how good this thing is, and it's getting great reviews, kind of. Because I have never seen such a big divide between the Rotten Tomatoes score and the Metacritic score. Because Metacritic is the actual numbers that everybody gives it, all averaged together into a single number. Rotten Tomatoes is just who liked it, who didn't like it. And on Rotten Tomatoes, it's got an 89, 90%. It is huge up there. It's one of the highest rated horror films of the year. Over on Metacritic, it's like 50. It's like 54, I think is what it is. And I can understand, because I did really like this. I think it's very good. But when you hear my score at the end, it's not going to be like through the roof. And I think that's what it is for a lot of people. I think a lot of people are going to watch this and go, that was pretty darn good. You know, like slightly just above okay. So on Rotten Tomatoes, because of the way they're structured, it makes it seem like it's the greatest thing of all time. Yeah, this movie is all about this girl. She's in college. She's on the swim team. She had a dad who pushed her too hard as a kid to be on the swim team, was always giving her that speech of, yeah, you're the apex predator. And I think you're supposed, that's okay, one strike against this thing. But I think that this film wanted you to feel like the dad was being hard on her. But you see in the opening, she's crying because she didn't make it into the top 3. And then it's like, it's okay, you're going to get him next time. It's going to be all right. And I went, I don't dislike the dad at all in this. He seems supportive and okay with this. Yeah, I don't know if that's what you're trying to make me think on this. But they have an estranged relationship. And there is a hurricane that is moving into Florida, and everybody's being told, get the hell out of the way. There is no chance of us making out of this thing. It's going to be a huge disaster, but no one can get in touch with the dad. So she is, because she's like the only family member still left in the area, she goes to check on the dad. He's not there at their apartment. The dog is still there. So she takes the dog with her. They go over to their old house, which they just moved out of, and his truck is there, but she still can't find him, so she's looking around. And I gotta admit, the whole sequence of her exploring this house, it's actually pretty creepy. Like, I expected the alligator to come out with like a knife and a mask on. It's set up like it's a slasher film. It had me actually getting a little spine chilling in there. So she goes down under the house because she can hear a radio playing down there. She's navigating around in there, and then she finds that the dad is unconscious, and he's got 2 big fang puncture marks, like right here in his shoulder. Something took a chunk out of him. And so she is walking around trying to get him out of this place. And then there's just a big-ass alligator down there. So a giant portion of this film becomes her and the dad trapped under the house because there's one little area where the pipes are set up that they can climb around it, but the alligator can't crawl through it. So this is like the one little section underneath the house where they're safe. So this is kind of just a bottle film for a while of just focusing on them trapped underneath the house. But then the storm hits.
And they start getting flooded.
Yep, you saw it coming. And that actually does start raising the stakes. Because now you know they can't just wait this out, wait for the neighbor to come by, wait for everybody to return, wait for them to get cell phone signals. No, they're kind of just trapped under this place. And the water is slowly rising. And this becomes one instance after another of them trying to think of a way to get out here. And then the alligator foils them. Then there's another alligator in there, which there are several jump scares they do with the alligators in here. Normally, I hate jump scares. The jump scares are actually pretty good in here. Because this movie does a really solid job of having the jump scare happen right at the moment when you don't think it's going to happen. Or have it happening, but not in a way that you're expecting, or making you look over here and then the jump scare comes from here. Yeah, they do an actual pretty decent job setting up each of these jump scares. I've always said jump scares, they're not bad inherently. Mm-hmm. It's just people do them badly all the time. This one does them okay, and I was actually all right with the jump scares in here. I will say they spend a little too long down there underneath the house. This movie, it's only like 90 minutes. It could have been like 85. Like, just take like maybe 5 minutes out of this thing just to speed up that section of them underneath the house, because they're there for the first like 2 acts of this film. But they do enough stuff in there to kind of liven it up, to kind of give you that hope and then take it all away from them. Like, there is a moment in which they are looking out and they see the gas station across the street, and there's people there in a boat at the gas station. They're trying to get their attention. But then I'm not going to really say what happens, but let's just say the alligators aren't just underneath the house. So you see the people outside the house getting attacked by these alligators. And then you see like cops being pulled up. And then you see the cops having to deal with the alligators. This movie imports people to be murdered by alligators. I'm not going to say if everybody dies to the alligators. I'm not going to say what happens to people in the house. I'm not going to say what happens to all the people out there. But there are going to be some people that die to alligators. And it is kind of not funny, but it does make you kind of, I don't want to say roll your eyes because that makes it sound like, oh God, this is so stupid. But more just like, oh, that guy. Just kind of like that poor guy there. He had nothing to do with any of this. He just wandered up to the house and now he's destroyed by alligators. Yeah, this movie, it does have to bring people in to get killed by alligators. Because they're like, well, we've only got 2 people here. We can't just kill them off instantly. But I kind of love whenever we see the outside world here, because it almost makes it look like, no, the alligators just own the world now. We are their pets at this point. We're the ones who will be flushed down the sewers when we get too big. Because that's what you do with alligators. So that's the I don't know how many people even know that urban legend anymore.
I don't know either. It's something like I knew when I was growing up.
Like we all knew the urban legend that, parents would buy their kids alligators. They'd get too big, they'd flush them down the toilets. Then they have alligators in the sewers. I don't know if kids these days actually know that that's an urban legend.
I don't even know that anymore because I don't even know kids can get alligators for pets anymore.
Oh, you can still get alligators for pets. You could never legally get in the first place.
That's true.
It just happened. Yes. Anyway, aside from that. But yeah, it makes it look like Planet of the Apes, except just with alligators. So I kind of wanted to see more of the outside world, but we didn't really get that much of it. However, there is another thing that this film does that I haven't mentioned yet that just gives you so much tension, which is that, as I said, she brought the dog with them. I will not say whether or not the dog lives or dies, but I will say this movie wants you to constantly think the dog is in trouble. This movie, I always wanted to stand up and go fuck yourself at one point. Because this film is constantly just like, dog right here. You saw an alligator was right here a second ago. Dog's right there now. He's going to let the dog just sit there for a moment. Is the dog going to be okay? Well, we're going to see. Yeah, man, they hold on that dog so much at moments. And there are other moments where the dog isn't in trouble, but the humans are in trouble, and you see that the dog is sad about the humans being in trouble, and I felt worse for the dog than I did for the humans who were in trouble because the dog was sad about the humans who were in trouble. I was like, someone go in there and save those humans so you can make that dog happy again. Like, there was a moment in this movie where, yeah, the water, it's almost gone. They are barely holding on. There's hardly like any air left for them at all, and they're banging on the floor. And then you see the dog up above them scratching on the floor trying to get them. I was like, oh, you poor thing. Oh, doggy, no, oh, poor doggy, save them, doggy, so you can be happy, doggy. Yeah, this film knows how to make you care about that dog. I will say whether or not the dog lives or dies for the spoiler section of this. Although I feel like I should just go ahead and reveal that because I know that there are some people out there right now who are like, I'm not seeing this thing if the dog dies.
Well, save it for the spoilers, like you said.
I'll save it for the spoilers. But yeah, this film, it does a great job of pacing itself. Like I said, we're in underground, we're in the basement, just a little too long. Like I said, you can take like 5 minutes out of that. But it does have other beats. It's not just a ball film completely underneath there. And even when you are underneath, you do constantly find yourself going, oh God, tick-tock, oh man, that water is rising right now. You do feel tense about that. And there are numerous times in there where, like I said, the alligator either comes in as a jump scare that freaks you out, or they just kind of have it like slowly pass on by, and it freaks you out. It makes you wonder if they're going to be okay. There is, like I said, the entire film is not set just underneath the house. You do see them actually get out, and then they have to deal with the alligators there. There is one thing that I do have to criticize this film for, because after they get out, they go, all right, we gotta get that boat so we can get out of here. That's our best chance. And I just went, the hell it is! You have a 2-story house! Your best shot is get to the 2nd floor of that house. So that's like the one thing they do in this film that made me look at it and go, that was really fucking dumb of you. But everything else they do is actually pretty smart. Especially in terms of like horror movie logic, where you always kind of give your protagonist a little credit because it's like, yeah, they're scared, they're not gonna think straight. They are actually very competent people. They actually do a lot of things in here that make you look at it and think, okay, yeah, these are people, if I ever got caught in this situation, I'd want these people with me. So yeah, they're likable people. You do get a lot of backstory on them too. Like I said, they have a past there. They have some kind of a relationship that broke apart from each other. The dad recently moved out of this house, so there are memories in this house. So there is a lot of emotional stuff in here as well. But in the end, what my score is going to be for this, it's going to be a 7 out of 10. Because it never did anything that blew my mind. It just did what it did competently. It just did what it did well. And like I said, it does drag a little bit in the first 2 acts. Not much, but you could have sped up by a little bit. But again, it's a film that, it's kind of bold because it only has 2 characters through the vast majority of this thing. But that also makes you kind of wish to see other people in here.
Yeah.
There does get to be that point in which you're like, yeah, okay, I've gotten these people down.
It's like, this kind of reminds me of like Gravity, but in Gravity it makes sense because you're in space, there's nobody else in space.
Also, I would be willing to say there's more stuff happening in Gravity.
Yeah.
Gravity...
Like, there's like more technical difficulties, more shit that can go wrong.
Yes, absolutely, yes. Gravity does that way better than this film does. But that's a very good comparison, because you do still kind of get those same Gravity vibes of, okay, maybe this will work. Oh, no, that doesn't work. But with Gravity, there's this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing, this thing. For this film, for the vast majority of it, it's we gotta figure out a way out of the basement. We gotta figure out how to get out from underneath the house. There's really only like 3 things they can try. That's about it. So, yeah, if they had a couple other things, or maybe if they had gotten out from underneath the house sooner, and then you had like a sequence in which they did this, then a sequence in which they did this, maybe like, the pace of it would have been a little bit better. But again, for what they were able to do, because you feel like they didn't really have a big budget for this thing. So they were forced to just stay underneath the house this entire time. When you recognize that that's really all they could have done, it is pretty impressive what they were able to do with it. So yeah, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. But it's not really it's not really because anything bad was in here. No, they do a lot of really good stuff in here. It's just it needed more in here to get any higher. Because, I also think about, like, Us, which recently, when you think about that film, it really only focused on 4 people the entire time. 4 people and the 4 antagonists. But they were able to do a lot with those 4 people. And again, granted, there's only 2 people. But, you could have done a little bit more. Like I said, they do have backstory between these characters. You do get into that. And whenever you get into that, it's great. I love that stuff. It gave so much depth to these characters. But they needed like 2 more scenes of that in there. Because outside of that, it is a whole lot of them just waiting around. Just like, all right, well, maybe okay. Did you see it over there? Is that over there? Okay, all right. Don't go over there. All right, make some noise over here and do that. Yeah, so as I said, I just need a little bit more in this film. Yeah. But it is really good for what it is able to do. All right, spoiler time. The dog lives. The dog lives. But, the people, ooh man, when the people get torn into by the alligators, holy crap, that's something I should have mentioned in the regular part of this. I always forget to mention something until we get to the spoiler part. Yeah, man, this thing has really good, not even kills, just attacks.
Yeah.
Because there are many times in which our 2 protagonists, they get attacked and they don't die. But man, you look at it and you think, oh, you're not going to last much longer.
Yeah, like you're getting shredded up.
Yeah, I will go right into, okay, for anybody who is still with us just because you wanted to hear if the dog died, and you're like, well, yeah, I am going to go and see this now. Okay, now, because I got to talk about one of these right now. Like I said, this movie does a great job of making you look left, and then the monster attacks from right. By the way, I know that I just used my right hand and then used left.
Just flip it.
Just flip it, yes. This whole video is going to be completely reversed. The right on my shirt is going to be backwards. But, yeah, this movie does a great job of making you look in one direction and then another. And, like, there's a moment in which this cop shows up. And you think, okay, we're going to get some more of the cop because they establish the cop has a backstory with the sister of our protagonist. And they even talk a little bit at the beginning of this. So, okay, so you're going to get some more details on him. They've already set up that this guy's definitely going to be a character. So, yeah, he's definitely going to stick around for a little bit. And he's there, and he's looking downstairs, shining his flashlight there. Okay. Hey, can you get in here? And boom! Alligator grabs him, knocks him down there, just knocking his ass around. There's a moment earlier on in this film where the protagonist, or the main girl, she gets attacked by the alligator, and he is flinging her into walls. It's almost cartoonish, except it's so graphic and horrifying that you don't find it funny in any way. It's just kind of shocking and alarming that, oh my god, yeah, alligators are really freaking strong. But there's another moment. This is probably the best example of them making you look in one direction and then just completely sideswiping you in the next direction. They have to get up because they get into the boat, and then the levees break. And then the boat gets just rammed right back. See, this is what the entire movie is like. Just nom. Yes. Peach, you would bite those alligators back if you had to. They get into the boat, and then the levees break, and the giant rushmore shoves the boat right back into the house. And then they go, well, we gotta get upstairs. And I was just sitting there going, no shit! Gee, who told you that was a good idea? Me, guy in audience you can't hear. Yeah, that drove me nuts. I was like, no, get to the fucking roof and wait for help. It's too late.
That's what everyone does when they get stuck in a hurricane. Like,
which, I mean, if you have a boat, then yeah, take the boat.
Yeah,
but you know there are alligators.
There are alligators.
You saw people in that boat get eaten by alligators earlier in this film. It was nuts to me that they're like, well, we could probably make it past the alligators.
Oh my goodness, Pete, you are so squirmy.
I saw you guys waving your arms around, and now I want you to wave your arms around in front of me because I think it's fun.
Like, I kind of thought, like, part of this movie would, like, eventually, like, maybe in the second half of the movie, like, they would be stuck on the roof surrounded by, like, flood and alligators, and, like, they can't get out because they're surrounded by alligators, and, like, when people try to, like, come in on boats there to get attacked, it's like, oh, crap, they're stuck there, what do they do?
Yeah.
But it's actually, like, the reverse, like, they're under the house instead of on top, so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no, the end point, the very end of the film is them trying to get to the roof of the house. Which again, I was like, that's what you should fucking
done in the first
Yeah,
place.
It's again, if you had a boat there and there weren't alligators, yeah, get on the freaking boat. But when you just saw people get attacked and dragged off the boat by the alligators earlier in this film, just skip that, get to the freaking roof of this house. So the boat gets slammed back into the house. Then they get out and they have to now get to the roof of the house. And there's a moment like the entire first floor is flooded, and the dad, played by Barry Pepper, who I haven't seen in anything in forever, he's there at the base of the steps, and he is screaming for the dog. He's holding up a flare in his hand, and you see the dog, and then just like shooting in the water of under the dog, trying to get the dog to get to safety. And you're just like, you're holding your breath the entire time, because that dog has survived this entire time. There was a moment where the dog is at the top of the stairs, right where the cop got eaten earlier. I was just like, don't you do it. Don't you do it. And yeah, you're following this dog, and I was just, don't do it to the dog. Don't. And then the dog gets to the steps and is okay. And the dad is, all right, good girl. And then bam, the alligator comes up and bites his arm and rips it clean off. That is like the best jump this movie had on me.
Yeah, like, you tell me that like the humans get like mauled and everything but survive. So I was wondering like if anything like that happened to the dog.
No, the dog is 100% safe.
Okay.
Dog is 100% okay. But man, yeah, that moment when the alligator came up and bit the dad's arm off, holy cow, I think that jumped my score up by an entire point there. Yeah, I was really damn impressed with how they were able to make me jump at that.
Stop licking my hands, Peach.
No, they're tasty. Yes, Peach, right here. Lick. But yeah, at the end of this thing, they get up to the roof, the water is still rising at them, but they've got one flare left, and then they see a helicopter, and the movie ends with her snapping the flare, waving it up, and then it's this. It's a shot of her. She's got up. Slow turn around. Just big happy face, turn around to the dad. And I was like, alligator jumps up and eats her. No, okay. And then just smash cuts to black. And then, see you later, alligator. In a wild crocodile. It is the best ending song I have ever seen a movie smash cut to. It is better than Werewolf in London, smash cutting to Werewolves in London. Is that the one smash cut to? I know that one, I think that's smash cut to Blue Moon. I know that Werewolves in London has a notoriously famous smash cut song at the end. I can't remember what it was though. But yeah, when it smash cut to that song, I almost just flipped this movie off, but not in a bad way, but more like, oh, you got me, movie. But yeah, this movie, it is good. It is a really fun time. It's not mandatory to see in theaters, but it's a fun time to see in theaters. So if you can see it, go for it.
Goodness, Peach, you are so fussy.
I want to talk to you about the attention I am not getting today.
You're getting plenty of attention, Peach. Oh my goodness.
We have different definitions of plenty. So hey everyone, that's basically what I just do with Peach the entire time that we just hang out in the house. I just pretend she's saying things. So yeah, we're going to end now. Sorry, I'm cracking up at my own dog now. So we're going to end now. Thank you guys very much. Next week, we're going to have a different film about giant animals. And this one will probably be getting a lower score from me. I don't know. I'm not going to judge it ahead of time, but I've heard some stuff. And we've seen some stuff. But we're going to be talking about Lion King next week. So thanks for tuning in, everyone. Coming next time. Bye.
Bye.